Welcome to the Pro Church Marketing Podcast. Thank you guys for watching, listening, and all that good stuff. Excited about today. We're in part 3 of our 2025 guide to the Google Ad Grant for churches. But what we're going to talk about today, I definitely apply to anybody with a Google Ad Grant, church, non-church, nonprofit, anybody, no matter what you do. This is good stuff today. We're going to go deep here. I've got our Google Grant specialist from Faithworks with us, Miss Melissa Keane. And then our special guest today is Mr. John Hosko, who is just a Google Ads guru. It's who we go to when we are scared and don't know what we're doing and need someone to help us and rescue us. So anyway, John, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of time. You want to introduce yourself? Tell us just, a little 35 seconds about
First of all, thank you for inviting me, John. I appreciate it. And Melissa, it's always good seeing you. I'm John Hosko. I've been doing Google Ads analytics for 11 plus years now. About 6 of those years, I actually worked for a company as a vendor for Google. So that's where I so-called learned it, cut my teeth, things like that, where we dealt right with Google and helped people set up Google Ads.
Perfect. Nice. Today, we're going to talk about we're going to jump into conversion tracking. And if you're watching, listening, maybe you've heard of that and kind of know a little bit about it. Maybe you've never heard of that. And you're like, what the heck? And let me just say, this is not like Google Ad Grant, Ad Management 101. This is definitely getting a little deeper there. So if you just got the grant or you're applying for the grant, then you should go back and watch or listen to the 2024 episodes that we did, part 1 and part 2, about getting the grant, setting up the grant. It talks through a lot of the basics. So today is definitely for someone that has the grant and you're trying to make the grant perform better, because it seems like, and look, I'm not when it gets into what we're going to talk about today and conversion tracking, this is definitely the meat and potatoes of this. And so if I sound dumb about it, it's because I am dumb. And so anyway, but it also seems like this whole conversion tracking thing is where a lot of people mess up. They're wondering why the ad grant's not spending any money. And this very well may be the issue. So we'll just jump in here. What is conversion tracking? John, just give us talk to me like I'm a 4th grader.
Sure. What is conversion tracking? Conversion tracking could be as simple as is somebody filling out a form. Okay. So you've got this grant, you're spending time on it. You want to know how the people are interacting and is it working for you? So are they making a phone call? You can track it back to, okay, this phone call came from Google Grants. Are they making a donation? You can show that the donation came from a Google Grants. It's called a conversion. So form fill out, donation, phone call, whatever you want on your website to track that it came from Google Grants. That's what conversion tracking is for.
So most people, I think they set up their grant or they set up Google Ads. Again, this is not just applicable to the ad grant either. This would be if you're running ads, Google Ads, period. This is relevant. But it seems like a lot of people who've dabbled in this, they create some ads and link it to their website, and it kind of stops there. And so when they're looking at their reporting or they go into the ad account to see how things are doing, all they've really got to look at is clicks, click-through rate, how many impressions they got, stuff like that. And it just kind of stops there. And so they're left wondering, okay, well, once they got to the website though, I don't know, what did they do? Did they call me? Did they fill out a form, or did they just look at the pictures and leave? Conversion tracking is telling us deeper,
Exactly.
Fixing that problem.
What did they do when they got there?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's telling us what
right.
the actual result.
If you don't have conversion tracking, it's just, okay, you traffic to the website. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing, John, I don't know if you've noticed with the accounts grants that you're working with, but the ones that I've noticed is Google has really cracked down, where it used to be somebody just gets the grant and you didn't set up the conversion tracking right away, but they're still getting traffic. And now, but I've noticed with our grants, I mean, it's like in red, set up conversion tracking. Like Google really wants to make sure that the conversion tracking is set up, that there is, whether it's page views or the form fill or whatever it may be. It's something that they really are putting a high importance on. is what I've been seeing.
Yep, absolutely.
Why do you think they care so much? Like, I know in a paid account, I'm sure they want you to have it, but they're going to spend your money anyway. They, whether you set up conversion tracking or not, they're going to get you some clicks and spend your money. With the grant, since you're not giving them any money, they're tightening the screws and making you jump through some hoops and making you do it right. But I imagine there's some benefit to them for us having conversion tracking on the ad grant, to where it's probably a little bit more important for you if you have the grant to make sure conversion tracking is right than if you're doing a paid account.
Well, I think they want to see that, listen, we're giving you this opportunity, take advantage of it. We want you to take advantage of that. We're going to force you to take advantage of it.
So what you're saying, Melissa, and I think back to when we were first getting started in the grant, like I didn't even know, this is embarrassing. I didn't even know like conversion tracking was a thing. I mean, I kind of did, but I didn't know much. And it's a little embarrassing. And so somebody, and you could probably, I survived for a while like that. And so somebody may have the grant, and the grant's been spending for a while, and they've been getting some clicks and thinking like, all right, this is cool, fine, this is working. And then maybe as Google has tightened up, like you're saying, they've been wondering why their grant's not working all that great. Is that possible? Could that have happened?
Yes, but also one of the ways to be in compliance with the grant is conversion tracking. And you have to get a conversion, at least one a month. And I believe it's even one per campaign. So yes, like you might not be working and that's why, but they could eventually shut you down if you're not getting any conversions. So that is you want to be compliant and you don't want to lose your grant, and definitely want to set up the conversion tracking. Plus you want to set it up anyway. Sorry, what did you say?
I was just going to say, that was going to be my follow-up question. Or what?
Or you lose your grant.
Have you ever seen anybody lose their grant maybe for this
Not
or for anything?
lose it, but been threatened.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. And that is not just particularly because of the conversion tracking, but you're not doing anything in here. We don't see you updating things. We don't see you trying to improve an ad. The ad has got a poor quality. We want to see you get a higher quality. So, yes, I've seen a lot of threatening with that.
Gotcha. So safe to say, they just want you, if they're giving you this, they want you to do something with it and not just set it and forget it.
Yeah. Not just dump things in there and forget about it. One other thing I just want to jump back when we're talking about conversion tracking. If you use Google Tag Manager and along with Google Analytics, I just want to let your people know, those are free products. So it doesn't cost you anything to set up conversion tracking.
Yeah.
It's all free.
Yeah.
So,
just a little bit of
that's an
time
important thing.
and maybe some frustration figuring some things out. But so let's talk about that. I've got the grant. I want to make this thing better. I've heard about conversion tracking. So how do I get started? You mentioned Google Tag Manager, Analytics. Those are all these Google products get confusing because I've got this Gmail account connected to that. I've got this Gmail account. So that seems to be one of the problems. People just get confused with what's what. I've had people tell me they're locked out of their Google ad account and they're actually sitting over here in their Google Business Manager profile trying to set up ads that, it's so confusing. So just give us the basic, like how do we get started with conversion tracking?
And the one point you brought up is really good. You have to have a common Gmail to use all the products and make them talk. You can't use this person's Gmail and then another person's taking care of this. In there somewhere, there has to be a common email. Okay. So once you get your Google Ads account open, then you just you can open an account for free too. But Tag Manager and Google Analytics, which now we call GA4, that's the newest version of it. But up until about 3 years ago is when Tag Manager came along. What Tag Manager is, the reason Google came up with it is people were putting all these different tags on their website. It could be Google Ads tag. It could be a Facebook tag. It could be whatever tag. And they found that it was slowing it down. Okay. So what Google Tag Manager does is you take the tag from there, put it on your website, but then you put all your other tags inside Google Tag Manager. So it's a one-stop shop for all your tags. They live there and they talk between Tag Manager's tags and your website. So from my understanding, it keeps your website from being bogged down from many different tags. So the tags you link up through Tag Manager aren't exclusive to Google. You could put your meta tags in there. You could put some CRM tags in there. So there's a lot of different options there. Tag Manager is the container where you put everything, and analytics is like the dashboard to see everything.
All right. So from a dum-dum's perspective, I've got my website, and I want to put the Meta pixel on there so that I can do some, funky retargeting stuff over on Meta. And then maybe I've got call tracking set up like through CallRail or What Converts or something like that. So they give you a little script tag that you're supposed to put on your website. And then, maybe our CRM is trying to capture leads. And so HubSpot or somebody gives you a tag that you got to put on there. So now, your website's got 14 tags on it, and the web browser has to read all those when you load a website, and it slows the website down. So Google created a little, I think they even call it a container.
Yeah, they do.
So you put one tag on your website from Google, and then you dump all the other ones into that container, and Google just kind of handles running that for you. All right. Yeah. And so I just go find Google Tag Manager and just find that website, set up a Tag Manager account.
Yep. Set it up, put the tag on the site. Then also Tag Manager, analytics for the longest time was your place to set up conversion tracking, but it wasn't real efficient. It was kind of tough. You had to actually come up with snippets and put them on the website. Though Tag Manager can seem, and it is, very intimidating when you first go in there. But once you kind of learn the basics, you can do much more tracking more efficiently, easier than trying to set it up in analytics. Okay. So it just opens up a whole new world of tracking.
So obviously we would need a lot more time to teach someone the ins and outs of Google Tag Manager. And so if somebody wants to go learn that, what would you recommend? Go watch some YouTube videos? What do they need to do?
Yeah, there's a couple of people out there. The one guy I still go to every once in a while, his first name is Julius, I believe, on YouTube. And he's just amazing what you can find there. But one other thing, yes, I still go to YouTube. I'll get hung up on things. But you got to always look at the age of the video. If it's over a year, I don't even, because things change in the system so much.
Yeah. If you're looking up videos for Facebook Business Manager, if it's like more than an hour old, it's worthless. So I get that. All right, so I've got Tag Manager installed, and now I want to tag some things as conversions, right? That's what we're saying, and we want to tag different things on the website and identify them as what we want to consider a conversion. Now we're talking to a lot of church people here. And so we're not talking like some religious conversion. No one's like becoming a Christian. This is not.
Click this button and you're Christian.
Exactly. Yeah. Just fill out this form where you're in. But what kind of things are we talking about here?
Okay. So it could be a conversion where people are interacting with your church or whatever. So a call, a donation, a form fill out. Or I think not enough people take advantage of this is, where are things placed on your website? Are people interacting on your website? Are you placing a form in the wrong spot? Are you placing a button in the wrong spot? Okay, for that conversion. So it can help you make your website more efficient too by seeing how they interact.
So we're deciding, basically you just kind of decide what's important to you. If you're a plumber listening, if you're a plumber, you're not listening to this, but let's just pretend. Then I'm probably wanting phone calls or somebody to fill out a form requesting service, but I don't care if they're click on my address and get Google directions because they ain't coming to me. But a church, on the other hand, you might want to tag that Google map that you've got embedded. If somebody clicks on request get directions, that's important for a church or a store or a restaurant with a physical location.
Absolutely.
Churches may or may not care about phone calls, but you definitely care. A lot of churches now will have a form on their website that says plan a visit. and you're kind of letting the church know, like, hey, I'm gonna come visit you Sunday, and I've got this many kids, just so the church can be expecting you. That's important to a lot of churches. So that would be something that you want to tag so that you can see that this Google ad got someone to that form, and Google ad gets the credit for that person filling out the form, right?
But not only Google Ads, but what Tag Manager can do and Conversion Tracking can do is, did you get that form filled out from Google Ads? Did you get that form filled out from your social media? Did they come organically? Did they find your website and fill out that form? So it'll tell you all those places that they came from to convert.
Okay. So now we're seeing, like, all right, we're getting a lot of people from Facebook posts. We need to put some more energy into that. Then the Google ads are happening, but no one is coming from an organic search on Google where they're just Googling church near me, and no one's making it hear that. So maybe we need to work on our SEO a little bit.
Exactly.
You can make some decisions like that. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
So here's what I don't understand. And this may be one of those where we need to go watch a YouTube video, but I've got Tag Manager installed. I've got Google Analytics installed, right? So what do I do to tell Google that clicking submit on that plan a visit button or that plan a visit form, how do I tell Google that is what I want you to pay attention to? I understand the Tag Managers, but how do I let it know what's important to me?
Right. Well, that's where you have to go into your Tag Manager and set that up. You have to tell Tag Manager, pay attention when someone clicks on that button. So you would go into, Tag Manager and set up anytime. This is where it gets a little technical. Anytime somebody clicks on the button that says this, count that as a conversion. Anytime, and the good thing about Tag Manager, you just have to point it in the right direction. Say, look at this on the website. Look at this button. And when it's looking at it, it's really looking at how it's coded in the back. Okay.
So have I got to know how to type HTML code to tell it this, to talk to it?
That's the great thing about it. You do not. You just have to. No, you do not need to know how to do that. You just need to go in certain steps. It's like if somebody clicks on this type of button. When I say this type, it could be a regular button click. Sometimes it's made to look like a button. It's just a direct link to somewhere. Okay. So those are the ins and outs you need to know when you're in there. Is if someone clicks on this button and it's this type of button, count it as conversion. Count it as conversion and then send it over to Google Analytics. Okay.
Yeah.
Which will then show you in your ads. So it sounds a little bit difficult. Like you said, do you have to know coding? Nope. You just need to know the steps. Look here, count here. The button or the form must say this. Okay. Yeah.
So it's not as complicated. I don't have to go do a 9-week master class on HTML, but I know, like with like the Metapixel, they have you do that on a website, but Facebook has this cool thing. They'll actually visually pull up the website and you can literally just click on the buttons that you want them to pay attention to.
Okay.
So that seemed like that's the other end of, like, that's super easy. Like,
right.
So this sounds like this is somewhere in the middle. We don't have to know code, but we're not just gonna click on it and be done.
Look at this button. Here's the name of the button. That's what it is.
Gotcha.
Only look at a button with this name as a conversion. Don't look at any other buttons. Only look at it with this name.
Okay. All right.
So now, John, you might have said this already, and if you did, I apologize. So just kind of starting, if somebody's listening to this and they want to try to do it themselves, they download Tag Manager, and they do have to put some code on their website first, though, right?
Yeah, but Tag Manager generates that code.
Okay.
So you just have to
it's just a one-time thing that they have to do the code, and then they can set up the conversions from then on after, correct?
Yes, but they don't have to change the code. They don't have to type anything in the code. It generates the code for you.
It tells you where to put it.
Yep. Go to your website, tells you where to put it on the back end, paste, it's there. It's really straightforward. So it looks complicated because the code is very, very complex, but it generates it for you automatically.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. All right. So And you could, it may be just like send it to your web people. If you've got a web person, you just, hey, I need this on there. Here's what Google said to do. I'm not touching it. So,
Yeah.
gotcha. So this is kind of a random question. I know like we can see conversions and it helps us make decisions, but does like with the Metapixel having that on there, Meta uses that and they do some things on the back end that you don't know about to make your ads perform better. Does that happen with Google? Is conversion tracking going to give Google some data, and do they start making your ads perform better because they've got conversion tracking now?
Good point. Inside the ads, yes. Okay. You have a column in there called conversions. Okay. And you have other type of conversions you can have in Google Ads, but the hard conversion line, that's what Google looks at. Optimize your ads. So absolutely. If you're getting lots of conversions on a certain ad or a certain keyword, Google will optimize. Well, let's show them that ad more. Let's use that keyword more. So absolutely. If you don't have anything in there, the intelligence doesn't know what to optimize to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know like if I go into the Google ad account and I look, I can see like how many clicks I got. They give me the click-through rate and stuff. So that's one area. But is that where I see the conversions? Because you mentioned connecting analytics via Tag Manager to the Google ad account, and you're setting up I'm setting up those conversions. Now, where do I go to see the specific conversions and be told what convert?
Right. Good question. Back a long time ago, you used to set up conversion tracking through your Google Ads account. You put it on your website. Well, you were only seeing conversions through Google Ads. But analytics, part of what analytics does, and why you want to run everything through analytics and connect to it, it will not only show what came through Google Ads, and it'll pull it into Google Ads, but when you go into Google Analytics, you'll get to see conversions from all your other points of contact. Like I said earlier, direct, organic, social, email, referral. So
Gotcha.
But it will take the Google ad conversions and pull it into your Google Ads account and assign it to that campaign, that ad, that keyword.
So you can see these conversions in your Google Ads account, but it's going to be specific. You're just going to see ad conversions. So if you're interested in seeing the whole picture of what came from Facebook, what converted from Google Ads, what converted from your email newsletter, then you've got to get the whole picture. You've got to see that in analytics.
I mean, I'm sure when they first started it, okay, I have to look in my Facebook to see my Facebook conversions. I have to look here to see that. I have to go to my Google Console to see conversions from there. What analytics does, it brings it all together, and then it sends it out to the various platforms.
Okay, gotcha.
So if you're going to set up conversion tracking, you might as well set it up through Tag Manager and Analytics and get it done once.
Okay. So, all right. So what questions am I not asking? Or Melissa, you got questions? Or John, you got questions? You're like, y'all should be asking this.
Go ahead, Melissa.
No. I was going to say, I think Jono asked a lot of great questions.
They were great, weren't they, Melissa?
They really were. One thing I always try to impress upon people, and you heard me talk about it, about how is your website? How are they interacting on your website? And this is one I just set up, and it was actually for a Google Grants one, if you allow me to share my screen.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So they wanted to count how many form submissions they got. That's what they said. We just want to count form submissions. So I set it up, thank you conversion. But I said, let's do something else, because I was looking at it and I wasn't sure how people are going to want to interact. So if you looked at it the first week, if we didn't set up the other conversion, I don't even want to call it conversion. It's an action, because it's not really an end conversion. But let's see. So the first week, they got 3 conversions. A lot of people would be happy about that. Okay. But what the action was on their website, there was a learn more. Okay. You had to click on the learn more to go to the next screen to find out. Well, the next screen didn't really give the person any learn more. It was enter your name and email address. Okay. So I said, let's try this. So I set up an action to track every time somebody clicked on the button to learn more, but how many actually gave you their email and name. So you might think, well, we got 3 conversions, but look how many you missed. Okay.
Yeah. Then why
So
is it called a
that's where you
thank
can
you?
make a decision. Okay, maybe we need to give them something more. Maybe we give them a little more to get their name and phone number. So I like doing things like that too. You just don't, yes, you want to track the conversion, but what about the actions that it takes to get to that? Are you losing people along the way? So yeah, we got 3 conversions, but man, look at, we had, 26 that we missed out because
They just got to the form and just like, no.
I don't need to know that much or that bad, right?
Yeah, I don't need more spam.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out. That's what I
Now,
like to
you
do.
call it a
People should
thank
think
you.
about that.
You call it a thank you conversion. Why is it called a thank you conversion?
That's the end thing. The URL says thank you for submitting the form. That's
Once they click submit the form, it reroutes them to a thank you page. So we can be confident if the only way you're seeing that thank you page is if you went through all the steps.
Exactly.
So I can safely say that was, if they made it to this page, we're gonna check that off.
That's a conversion.
Okay. So
yeah, that's a conversion. So all of a sudden, the 3 doesn't really look that good, does it? Right?
Right.
And you can't necessarily blame it on, well, Google Grants isn't working. Facebook isn't working. So this is a good way as a marketer, someone who helps people with this, give a little pushback and say, well, we did bring 29 people there, but only 3. So, maybe they don't want, like you said, they don't want the spam. Maybe they want some information before they take the next step.
Gotcha. So that would be your recommendation. If somebody, they're getting a lot of clicks on their ads, but they're not getting a lot of conversions, what are some of the things that you think are going wrong there?
Right. How are we losing?
Because obviously the ads are decent. People wouldn't be clicking on them. But once they're getting to the website, there's something that's not
There's
clicking.
ways to measure that, John, too. Like you brought up a good point. It's away from conversion tracking, but there's ways in Google Ads to look at the numbers and say, well, we're bringing good traffic here. We're bringing relevant traffic here. Why aren't they taking the next step? It's the infamous, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right?
Right.
So,
so they probably, they probably just need to test some stuff out, right? I mean, it could be as simple as more content on the page, explaining what they're actually signing up for.
Yeah,
it could need,
it's all about testing. Let's try this. Let's give them
questions on the form. You need to, maybe cut it back.
Yeah, let's give them a little information and then this. See what I mean? So it's a way to test. It's not necessarily that you're wrong, anything bad about it. It's just like, okay, well, we need to test something else, to see what's working.
Yeah.
To get that conversion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I was talking with a client yesterday. They've got a great website and they're getting a ton of organic traffic through their blogs and stuff, but they're getting no quote requests. Well, if you go look at the blogs, they're like, why aren't we getting any quote requests? But we're getting all this traffic. And you go look at the blog posts, there's no quote. There's nowhere to get a quote. And this is not a church. It's actually this insurance. And so I was like, hey, we just need to add a button somewhere, because if you go look at all these other insurance companies, halfway through their blog, or after the first paragraph, there's a line that says get a quote. And so it's as simple as just telling people what you want them to do. Ask for it.
Right. And that's what analytics, tag manager, all that gives you all this data, but it's up to you to do something with that data.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. You got to look at it. You got to
look at it
some time.
And you have to learn it, or, when you first look at these things, well, there's videos out there. I can do this. But, that's where a professional comes into, like yourself, a marketer, to say, okay, here's the data. Let me help you interpret it.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, just to finish up here, what any final, and it doesn't have to be about conversion tracking, but just in terms of the Google Ad Grant, any little zinger tips, Melissa or John, things that people are messing up, you see, not because they're dumb, but just because they don't know, they are things that people are stumbling, tripping over with the Google Grant that they just might not be thinking of. If you could give people like one tip or two tips, just to put y'all on the spot there.
Yeah, like one or two tips. Well, this is kind of like what we touched on in week 2 of this, but I do think it is really important with the grant is having good, relevant content on your site. And the grant, we could make the best ads ever. You could make the best ads ever, but if there's no content to support the ads, then they're not going to get shown. I think sometimes, especially in churches, kind of as we've talked before, your sites can be a little bit thin because maybe that's your brand or, the way that you want to kind of show your church is with not a lot of content, but you have to have good content. And so I think that sometimes you don't think about that with the grant. Even when I started doing it, I wasn't even necessarily thinking that. And then I realized, oh my goodness, like I don't have any, I can't make these ads with nothing. So, let's say that.
Absolutely.
And
put some stuff on your website.
Yeah. And then make sure that the ads are relevant to the content. Like don't run an ad for, your children's ministry if the page that it's going to is all about adult ministry. I mean, like Google is not going to show your ad that way, or they're going to give you a poor score. And that is going to lead to just a waste of everybody's time, really.
Cool. All right. Good.
Yeah,
John?
I would agree with Melissa on that part too. We want to do this, but we don't want to take the time to set up our website properly. That's going to take time. It's going to take money. We just want to get advertised. Well, that's not the case. So my tips are, the first one is basically what Melissa's saying, take the time to set up your website properly and let them know who you are, what you do, and what would you like them to do. You put a nice big button, fill out this form for more information, a big phone number they can see. Sometimes on these websites, they do a template and the phone number's hitting way up in the corner, in an 11-point font. So who are you? What do you do? And how do I get a hold of you? Or how do I take what action you want? Okay.
It needs clear call to action. That's a huge one.
And then conversely, take care of all the back end stuff up front. I know you're excited. You want to get Google Ads going. Well, let's get conversion tracking stuff. Well, yeah, my guy, I'll get it to him, but I want to get this going. Okay. Yeah, we'll take care of it, but I want to get this going. Let's take a minute. Let's take a day. Let's take a couple of days, and let's make sure everything's set up properly. Okay. So that when you do turn on, all pistons are firing, and it's a better experience.
So bottom line, slow down, do things up front right, get your website right, get your tracking set up. Don't get in such a hurry to get people clicking, because you're going to save yourself a lot of frustration if you do some work up front that's going to feel slow and boring, but it's going to pay off in the long run because your ads work.
Yeah, because here's the thing that I've noticed about what John's saying, and it's so correct with some of the clients that we have that maybe haven't done that with their websites but still wanted us to go forward. We have, but Google isn't always as forgiving. I feel like once they've got everything in place and now their website is going really well, it's not like then suddenly Google's just going to show their ads. Honestly, it takes more time and more fire now to get Google to kind of like believe that this is, because it's AI, it's but you have to have authority with Google. You have to, with the grant especially. And so
yes,
that's great advice, John, because I think people do just want, let's just get it out there, but then you kind of are hurting yourself in the long run. So
because as you know, with the limitations on Google Grant, you got to have everything in place to get it going. Absolutely.
That's a good one.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're gonna, I guess, wrap things up. John, thank you so much. If I was gonna throw your website up here, if people need some help getting some of this stuff set up, they can find you. That's right. That's your
Thank
website.
You. That's
right?
very nice of you. Yeah, Hosko PPC Consulting.
That's the kind of guy I am. Now, if you're a
Very nice
nonprofit,
of you.
If you got the grant, you need some help, or even if you're not a nonprofit, if you're a plumber and accidentally downloaded this podcast and somehow made it this far and watched this video, hit John up. He's the smartest guy we know when it comes to this stuff. And of course, if you're a church, hit up Faithworks Marketing. Cool thing about Faithworks is John helps us too. So you get the best of both worlds. You get all of us when you hire Faithworks. So
Absolutely.
Anyway, thank you, John. This has been awesome. This has been super helpful. Really appreciate your time. And thanks everybody for watching, listening. If we can help you, let us know.